Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel, and in today's review I'm going to be taking a look at the Black Mamba Camouflage version of Brawl. This is essentially an upscaled and improved version of the original Transformers Studio Series Voyager class Brawl, and what a figure this is. Now if you are in the market for picking one of these figures up, he is available right now over at Show's store, and for that there will be links down in the description box below. But here we have the oversized Black Mamba's camouflaged Brawl. Now up until this point, the only oversized and third-party Brawl I had picked up was the Wei Zhang version, and that's just because I thought that figure looked awesome. This figure appealed to me for two reasons. First of all, because it does in fact have enhances over the Studio Series version, which was already a great representation of Brawl. It was of course a bigger scale, and this version is a bigger scale, so it will probably match my MPM figures, but it's also done in the camouflage colour scheme that we saw in Dark of the Moon. Now I've never picked up any version of Brawl in this camo colour scheme, however I've got to say I absolutely love it, and I think that Black Mamba have done a fantastic job. You can see almost the checkerboard effect going on throughout it, which believe me definitely does look a lot better in robot mode. But you can see that as we turn around to the back, we've got all of the same details that we had on the Studio Series version. Really and truly the mold is unchanged in tank mode. It's really robot mode that you begin to see some of the differences, but you can see all of the sculpting and detailing here for the treads, which are unfortunately still plastic, but even they've got some nice weathering details on them. We of course have the exact same weapons that we got with the Studio Series version, so we've got this larger Gatling gun here with some really nice gunmetal silver for the top, and then a much lighter silver here for where I presume the scope would be. So this is quite a super cool looking weapon. We also do get the machine gun and bayonet weapon, and the machine gun too has also been given some really nice paint effects, so it's completely silver and then gets a lot darker towards the tip. The silver blade, which is in fact articulated, and much like the Studio Series version, you can in fact remove the machine gun if you so desire. However, it is in there incredibly securely, and you can see some super nice copper detailing for where the ammunition of the Gatling gun would be. So super cool accessories, and it's great to see them carry over for this figure. I really do like the look of the tank on its own though, without all the weapons. You can see you've got the missile pods here at the top, the two cannons here, and then the larger one. Still, unfortunately, this isn't articulated. Although there is some changes to this when we get it into robot mode, they still haven't figured a way to actually hinge this up, which is such a shame, as it would have been nice to have perhaps got that. But this section here can rotate, so you can have this rotating around. These are on double ball joints, so you can have those more collapsed along the sides if you so choose, or move them around to your liking. We can rotate this around, however it still does look rather obscure from certain angles due to the simple fact that the actual center point isn't in the center, it is more towards the front. But overall, definitely a super nice tank mode. It does roll incredibly well as well, which is really cool to see. But let's get down to transformation. Now transformation is very similar to that of the Studio Series Brawl. You just want to pull these sections out here to the sides. We can then take this piece and rotate this all the way around. Just rotate that. Here you just want to untab these sections just to loosen up the top of the tank. This section here is in here a lot more securely than I would perhaps like it to be, so just separate that, and then we can just separate these pieces, lift this whole section up, and then that will allow you to almost fillet open the center section of the tank to really begin working on some of the central components. These arms here, you just want to wriggle up and down until they tab into place, and then repeat the same process here for this side. So take this and lift this upwards, and then with the cannon it does break up into several different points and just stores on the side like so. Turning now to the transformation of the legs, what you're going to do here is gently ease this part away from the actual tread section. So just pull all of this away. These sections here are on ball joints, so are more than likely going to pop off throughout this transformation. What we can then do is take this section and just push that in, and then this piece here will lift over the top and we'll just gently tab into place for now. We can then take this whole section and fold this all the way back. And now inside here there is in fact a small slot that this post here will actually peg into. So it's just a matter of aligning everything appropriately. So align that section up and snap that firmly into place. We can then bring this foot down And then there is the transformation for one of the legs. Repeat the exact same process on the other side and you've got both of Brawl's legs. What we can then do is come to the underside and you're just going to want to pull out these small spikes, which are in fact movie accurate. So it's fantastic to see them add such minute attention to details. But I think that it definitely gives him a very aggressive look and really harkens back to that original 2007 leader Brawl. We now turn our attention to this section and you're just going to want to pull these down and then out. All of this is incredibly similar to the original version. So just bring all of this down. And then you can lift the head section up, flare these pieces out, take these treads here, just angle those in. Snap firmly into place. Now you may have seen the electronic feature, which I'll showcase later on. Lift these pieces up on both sides. And then with these sections, you just want to compress those, and you can really angle these in whatever way you so desire. I do believe this way is probably more movie accurate. We can then take this whole section here and actually rotate all of this. Even this huge black piece, you're going to want to rotate upwards. So just rotate all of that up. Then this silver piece here comes down. We can then take the arms and they peg in to a very similar way to how they did on the original release. So just snap that one into place, rotate that around and repeat the same process here. Rotate around, snap into place. And then with this back assembly, you're going to want to rotate it and then rotate this turret piece upwards. And then these pieces here will in fact fold in upon themselves. And then this whole piece here just compresses along the back. Just straightening everything out. Bring this arm down, pull the claws out. Fully adjusting him. Here we have the Black Mamba Camouflage Brawl fully transformed up into his awesome looking robot mode. So as you saw from the transformation, it is relatively straightforward with a few subtle differences from that of the original Studio Series version, of which I'll bring out a comparison later on. But in terms of details and overall aesthetic, I think this captures the look of Brawl so much better than the Studio Series version. It's incredible to see how such subtle changes can really make the overall design look a lot more elegant and just tidy up some of the parts which didn't look as neat as perhaps they could have been. You can see that they reduced the turret from moving it from, well, in the middle of his legs to up on his arm. They have reduced some of the kibble on the legs and a lot of the kibble on the arm. It has now moved up to the shoulders, which I think looks a lot more proportionally accurate as it bulks up the shoulders and means the arms are slightly more slender. If we take a look at the details, you can see that the head sculpt is just as detailed as it was previously, and this version does in fact take batteries, so if you do push that button on the back of his head, it does activate an LED function. And I think that this really does set this figure apart and he looks remarkable. We can see loads of sculpting and detailing and some amazing paintwork for the chest. All of these sections here are in a gunmetal colour scheme. All the gold pistons and some red wiring detailing. And then here, even for the fingers and the actual arm themselves, all detailed really, really nicely. Just a super, super cool looking figure. I think that the feet look fantastic. They have in fact got ankle rocker joints now, so it does greatly improve the figure's overall articulation. So just quickly running through articulation, we do have a ball joint at the head. The arms can move forwards and backwards, hinge up and down. However, it is restricted due to the arm kibble. We do in fact have a full 360 rotation at the bicep, 90-degree bend there at the elbow. And then we also have another elbow joint which looks a lot more fluid, and that also bends 90 degrees, as well as all of the fingers are individually articulated, which was once again something which was absent on the original version. There is a waist rotation joint, which is super cool to see. However, the back piece can restrict that ever so slightly. The legs here can ratchet forwards that far, ratchet backwards that far, as well as hinge out to the sides. Full 360 rotation just above the knee. And then we also do get a 90-degree bend of motion. And you saw earlier on that the feet have now got ankle rocker joints, allowing them to hinge forwards and backwards, as well as up and down. So in terms of articulation, it's fantastic. Really, really nice update. And as I stated, just subtle changes really do set this figure apart from the previous version. For some quick size comparisons, here we have the new Black Mamba Brawl compared next to the official MPM version of Jazz, as well as the original Studio Series version. And you can see that what I was talking about earlier is definitely evident here when you compare the new Black Mamba version to the Studio Series Series version, they have moved all of the kibble that we got with this version on his forearms up to the shoulders, making them a lot more bulkier, as I thought these looked rather slender. And they have removed the turret and actually placed it on the shoulder, which I think also looks a lot better. And the overall articulation on this one is a lot more improved. You can see the drastic increase in scale here, as he does scale a lot better with MPM figures than he would with perhaps Studio Series versions. However, in Dark of the Moon, I do believe that Brawl was just an unnamed Decepticon, so technically you could have this displayed next to your Studio Series figures as well if you so desired. But definitely a really nice figure, particularly if you are looking for a good Brawl in the MPM format. And I do believe that he also does come in the more traditional green colour scheme if you don't necessarily like the camo colour scheme. So that was my review on the newly released Black Mamba Brawl, the Camouflage version. Once again, if you are in the market for picking one of these figures up, then I definitely recommend that you should check the links down in the description box below where you'll be taken to Showzi's store. Personally, I really am glad that I picked this figure up. As stated previously, I do really like the camouflaged version of Brawl, and I think that this is a great figure to pick up, especially if you don't have any figures of the camouflage version. It gives you a different interpretation of Brawl in a much larger format, and it really does scale rather nicely with some of your MPM figures. And as stated, you can also purchase the green version, which is of course more movie accurate, if you so desire, also at Showzi. I hope that you enjoyed this review. If you did, please let me know down in the comment section below, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.